Hi, I'm Jane King, and this is New to the Street, in person back here at the NASDAQ market site in New York City. This show is all about public, private blockchain companies, the CEOs, the founders, and the innovators, bringing you lots of opportunities to consider. Here we go. O'Neill Capital Advisors is focused on blockchain, medical cannabis, REITs, technology companies. The company is currently setting up an office in Singapore and doing a lot of SPACs with Asian investors as well. And with me is Dennis O'Neill, the CEO of O'Neill Capital Advisors. So great to have you back here in the U.S.
Thank you. I love being here.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about O'Neill Capital Advisors. What do you do?
Sure. O'Neill Capital Advisors, my background is over 30 years of investment banking experience. I've started two of the largest regional investment banks in Chicago, and then went on to run the SoftBank Investments E2 Capital office out of Chicago. So I've raised a couple of $1 billion in early stage capital. I've taken dozens of companies public. I have spoken as an expert and thought leader at 75 conferences globally. So, you know, we're focused on basically what we do is primarily is capital introductions. We have over 30,000 investors in our network. We also work as a merchant bank. So we have, and all of our investors are institutional or super high net or ultra high net worth individuals. So the idea here is that being able to help companies to be able to access capital that relationships that they wouldn't normally be able to access.
Mm-hmm. And we mentioned blockchain and medical cannabis and technology. I mean, that's your main focus. So how do you pick those companies, find those industries? Kind of explain that strategy.
Sure. Well, I've spoken at many blockchain conferences, technology conferences, and medical cannabis conferences. So we get to see hundreds of deals, almost every month. So basically, what we look for is that we look for companies that have a management team with a track record of success. That they've been able to raise some capital to date, so we can watch exactly how they've deployed that capital. We look for highly disruptive technologies because we look for large marketplaces or marketplaces that are growing very, very quickly, and then that they have a disruption, very, very disruptive technology to where that they would be able, if successful and being able to execute on the business model, that they will be, very, very valuable as a company.
And you mentioned moving your offices to Singapore. So
sure.
Why Singapore? Why Southeast Asia?
Well, Singapore, number one, is the gateway to Asia because they have a great government, they have a great legal system, they have the highest concentration of family offices in the world. So there's significant amounts of capital there to be able to access, as well as that for early stage companies. They have grant programs, matching, investor matching funds programs. They have a multitude of associations which will give you support for free as a early stage company. So we believe that is the platform that we can build from and be able to access the rest of Asia.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about business in Singapore.
Yeah, no, it's booming.
Now, tell me about RCEP. Am I saying this right? Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership.
Yeah.
Explain what that is.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest reasons why that we're actually moving our offices into Singapore. It's the largest free trade zone in the world. It represents 15 countries, everywhere from Singapore, Malaysia, China, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, and many others. It encompasses about a third of the world's population, and it eliminates about 90% of the tariffs. So you're able to, what you're able to do is that you're able to trade freely, throughout this region. And one of the most important aspects of this is that, these countries, Asia is the largest population and the fastest growing economies. And it's the most undervalued, especially in Southeast Asia. You can find unbelievable value in these companies because historically they have not been able to access B and C rounds.
Interesting, and very young population too, as I understand.
For sure, yeah.
So a lot of potential growth and
yeah, it's booming for sure.
So what is your overall Asia strategy then?
The idea here for us is that the major problem right now is that you have multi-billion-dollar companies that have an Asia strategy if they're from the United States, or if you're an Asian company, you have a US strategy. But once you get below that billion-dollar mark, many of these companies do not have an Asian strategy if you're in the United States. So what we're doing is that we're setting up subsidiaries in Singapore to access all the government programs that are available there. And then we're able to match them with investors, as well as that market opportunities for them to be able to grow their business in Asia. And we're doing the same thing for Asian companies, especially Southeast Asian companies, to where that we're introducing them to the US markets, as well as that US investors. And we're taking a lot of these Southeast Asian companies now. We'll be taking them public through a SPAC.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dennis. Great to see you again.
Yeah, it's so good to see you.
Yes,
Always love to be here.
And would love to interview you in Singapore sometime.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Let's do that.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
Smart for Life is a global leading developer, marketer, and manufacturer of nutritional and related products. With me is CEO Darren Minton and also the chairman, AJ Cervantes. So welcome.
Hi, Dan.
And I guess let's just start with an overview of Smart for Life. So it's an interesting company name. What is it you do exactly?
So we are first and foremost in the health and wellness sector. We're committed to creating great products, nutritional products, supplements, vitamins, nutritional foods. We have a number of different brands. Our products range from capsules, tablets, to nutritional foods. We have a whole fabulous product line of nutritional bars, for instance, diet foods that are original. Smart for Life, when we acquired that company, we actually renamed the public company Smart for Life because we thought that spoke to the market and resonated in terms of what we do. So it's really a broad array of brands, manufacturing. We have two separate manufacturing facilities, one in Doral, one in Riviera Beach, California, and we're probably now about 60,000 square feet under roof between the two facilities. And it's just a broad range of terrific products with great brands.
Yeah. What are some of the brands? Can I buy them at a store?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Smart for Life brand itself, you can buy in Costco, Walmart. We're expanding into other retail channels. We also sell extensively on Amazon. We're actually just part of a press release we announced about 2 months ago. Amazon selected us to be one of their launch products in Singapore. So that's fantastic. We're looking forward to expanding our sales in that region in Asia. And we're also selling aggressively direct to consumer. That's something that's been big during COVID. You know, people can't get into retail channels as much. So by buying directly on our website, and we're able to help consumers out directly and fulfill to them directly. We also have a couple other brands that we manufacture for that are very large. We work with a company called Milk Dust, which helps women with lactating during the kind of problems with the baby formula.
That's right. Yeah, no, it would be helpful to a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
And we also work with Nickelodeon as far as their Paw Patrol band, which is sold in Walmart.
I know Paw Patrol. My kids are
All the
older
little
now,
kids.
but I do know them. Yeah. So you sold in the U.S. and Asia. Any place else globally?
So a lot of our products, as we were talking about earlier, we both are a contract manufacturer as well as some of our own brands. So we've got brands that we sell internationally, mostly in the US, in Asia as well. And then we also contract manufacture for a lot of different brands, both supplements, vitamins, as well as food products. So we sell in South America, North America, in both Canada, the US and Mexico, throughout Europe, and also in Asia.
Yeah, no, it just seems like people are, and they're trying to prevent, and just make them have more energy and just make themselves feel better. So I think that's, a big macro trend that we're seeing. Now, I did see on your website you're looking at like a build strategy. Mainly, it sounds like through acquisitions. Right? Okay. So.
Yeah. So the structure in many ways is very formulaic. We only look for profitable companies to acquire. We look for those that, again, are complementary to what we're doing. We have a relatively standard formula, which is, depending on the company and what type of business it is under the nutraceutical umbrella, we'll pay 4 times to 6 times trailing EBITDA. We generally don't pay more than 50% cash. The balance is in a combination of a seller note and then stock in the public company. The value proposition for a seller is relatively simple. Many of these owners of these brands may have owned them 10, 15 years, for instance. They have a very successful brand that sells on Amazon. They're too young, as we say, to go to the beach, but yet they would like to have a liquidity event. They have the ability to take cash off the table. They have ongoing employment. We like to retain the DNA, as we say. They created a successful company. We want them to continue to run it. And then they also have an equity interest in an emerging growth public company. They get the benefit of the elevator ride, if you will, by taking a position in that public company. So it really, the value proposition for a seller is terrific. The ability to then bring that company into the overall fold. We've done 4 acquisitions in the last year. We have over 100 million in our pipeline of prospective acquisitions in various stages of negotiation. Agreements in principle, could just be earlier negotiation. In some cases, we're moving toward definitive agreements. So it's really part of the beauty as a consolidator is it's a very fragmented industry. There's lots of mom and pop companies that are very successful, 10, 20, 30 million in revenues, that work perfectly to come in under our umbrella, under the Smart for Life umbrella.
Interesting. And Darren, talk about the next 12 months. Say, like, what are your goals as CEO, and what do you want to do with the company?
So the next 12 months are going to be very aggressive. There's going to be, sort of a hockey stick is what we talk about with the acquisition strategy. In the past, right before our IPO, we had several small acquisitions. Now it's going to be larger deals. So as opposed to doing 10 or $15 million revenue companies, the next acquisitions in the pipeline are 40, 50, some even 100 million in revenue. So you'll start to see a nice uptick in the size of our overall company, and that's how we're going to get to that 100 million in revenue that AJ was talking about in 12 months and the 300 million in revenue in 36 months. Some of those acquisitions we haven't identified yet to the public markets, but we've talked about that at some of the conferences we've been attending to. Now that we've just gone public, we're outside of our quiet period, and so we're going to be ramping up our awareness and communication to the street and letting people know everything that's going on with our company. A lot of companies went public when we did. It was right at the time of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So I think there was a lot of market turmoil. A lot of companies were affected by that, including ours and our stock. And so now we have a great base to build from as we continue to accelerate our acquisition strategy and continue to hit on those major milestones.
Okay. Very fascinating. Thank you so much, AJ and Darren, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
SKUR, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. SKUR is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. SKUR doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download SKUR. Visit SKUR.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Soho Properties is a Manhattan-based, privately held real estate development and investment firm founded in 2003 by Sharif El-Gamal, and the properties do include the Margaritaville Hotel in Times Square, as well as residential apartments. And with me to tell me more about Soho Properties is Sharif El-Gamal. Great to have you here.
Good morning. Very, very excited to be here with you.
So let's talk about just your business in general, property development. You've had billions of transactions. So explain to me how the industry looks to you right now.
I think we are right now at an inflection point in the real estate markets globally, and we've obviously leapfrogged into the future with the advent of COVID and right now with inflation and interest rates, and so we're really at an inflection point where, from our perspective at Soho Properties, we think this is one of the most important times in history to really start looking very closely at hard assets and real estate.
Interesting. And I mentioned you were founded in 2003, so you've lived through financial crisis, COVID, which must have had a huge impact. How did you navigate all of that?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Boy, isn't that true?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think we were young children during the global financial crisis in 2008, and I think we got many big wounds in our vessels and in our projects, and we survived that. COVID obviously was completely unexpected, and we built Margaritaville during COVID, so we were able to figure out how to game the system in New York City when everybody else was stopped and sitting at home. I got infected with COVID really when it first came out. Okay. I just come back from skiing in Vail, and after I got it out of my system, thank God, I was one of the lucky ones. I just came back to the office. I think I was the only person in my office on my block. I got my general counsel. I convinced him to come back, and within about a week, the last week of March of 2020, we reactivated our site in Times Square, and we brought several hundred people back to build the Margaritaville Resort. So we built it during COVID.
Wow.
And then we had the good fortune and success of also we work with equity and with debt in our projects, and we had a facility, a large debt facility that was maturing, and literally every single broker had come to us and said, you're going to need to figure out a way to restructure the debt with the existing lenders, or you're going to lose your asset. And my comeback was, there is no restructuring the debt. If we don't figure out how to pay them back, we're going to end up losing the asset. So we put on our thinking caps, and we ended up last year closing the largest hospitality financing in New York City. We put together about $320 million, right during COVID. So I think the Rockefellers built Rockefeller Center during a certain era in New York in the Depression. Soho Properties built Margaritaville and refinanced it during COVID.
Now, inflation, has that impacted you? Or what about like wage inflation and hiring people?
Absolutely. The markets are extremely competitive. But I think even before inflation, unfortunately, this generation, is gotten, I don't want to use the word lazy, but I think
they have different priorities.
They have a different work ethic. They want to work from home. I think they needed a recession to wake them up. I think that a recession the recession that we're having is important because it's really going to smack some of these kids and let them realize that they can't work from home, that the human interactions that we're having, you can't do that over a phone call or over a Zoom meeting or over a Google Meet meeting. It's, there's no substitute for that. It's challenging. I mean, it's just very challenging with the new mindset of the new generation, and I think that the inflationary period that we're in also right now has just further. It's like the perfect storm. It's like there's a storm that we're in the middle of, and we just don't understand. There's a lot of new things that we are all experiencing in all markets right now that are kind of interconnected.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like there's some tectonic changes going on. I just don't know how it's all going to play out.
Right.
But Sharif, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Margaritaville's a great hotel, so
thank you. Thank you.
SKUR, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. SKUR is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. SKUR doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download SKUR. Visit SKUR.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Secure Private Data offers email, messaging, all kinds of secure ways of communicating in the workplace. And with me is the CEO, Alain Ghiai, to talk about the latest hacks. It seems like every time we talk, there's something new, and we've got a crypto one to talk about this week, Harmony. And I was just kind of surprised because, crypto, the blockchain was supposed to be pretty unhackable, but that's proving not to be the case. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, nothing is unhackable in the world, but the crypto hack that happened was in a wallet, and it's not the first time. I think they call it a bridge or a wallet. I'm not so proficient in crypto language, but essentially it means that blockchain, which is an amazing technology compared to what we've been using for the last 50 years for wire transfers and so forth, blockchain is not immune to hack. And it's also not scalable to the point that people think. So not only people have to suffer because of the crypto stocks are down 90% in many cases, now they have to deal with wallets that are hacked and even companies that can't let people their money out. So it's a kind of a disaster. But the hackers always know how to get your money.
Yeah, well, and there's really no recourse.
There's no recourse whatsoever, because I don't believe it's FDIC insured, if I'm correct.
I don't think so.
And even if it is, it's only up to $100,000 according to the bank charter. So it's just a complete disaster. I feel really bad for a lot of people who have quit certain job, worked in that industry, have put all their nest egg in it. So and there's billions of dollars in those wallets.
Yeah.
And it's the similar community. You got the hackers, the good ones, the white hat, and then the black hat, right? So they all know where to go to get that money.
Yeah. So, and let's talk about data breaches just in general, because we see so many of these. It's like on a daily basis. What do you know about the amount of economic damage that is caused by these data breaches?
Well, there was a study that was made that in 2021, between real damage and loss of opportunity, it's costing the global economy $6 trillion a year. And it's only going to expand from there. So it's important to try to protect yourself and upgrade your software, buy new technology, secure your emails, all of that.
Yeah, and I think only about 24% of these people ever get their money back, right?
Yeah, I think there was a study, I think 75% of companies suffered a hack in the last 12 months or something like that, and only 24% of them can never get it back, or 42. I may be mixing my digit, but it's a high number, because if you're a business or an individual, but a business costs you millions of dollars if you're being hacked, and if you can't recover that data, that costs you a tremendous amount of money, and it affects your client base and your customer base. You could be sued. I mean, it's just the whole chain of event is like a domino that keeps falling. So it's very important to spend whatever amount you can to increase your security, to reduce your social footprint, and to really be careful.
Yeah. So what can people do to prevent these hacks from happening? And then I want to talk about how Sekur is different than what's already out in the marketplace. So let's start with what people can do. Watch their emails, I know, is the big thing.
Email is 94% of the hacks come through email, which means that somebody can watch you for 6 months at a time and you wouldn't know it, and you make that one mistake or you send that particular information via email, which we all do, and then they'll know exactly how to get to your system or what kind of password you use, etc. Also, watch out for phishing. You know, I get daily almost in some of my big tech email, I get these things that here's an invoice, click on it, or, you know, and now there's going to be a lot of political issues, you know, there's going to be a lot of articles being sent to people, and people are going to click without knowing where this email comes from. So I would recommend that you watch. And as a business, there's something called business email compromise, BEC. Businesses are watched carefully now because they have money, they have assets, and they have a lot of data. So email is the first gate to trying to reduce that hack, and also reduce your social media footprint, right, if you can. And you know, treat your business like it's your bank account, or even more. Guard yourself, you know, with that information that you leak out.
Yeah, and Sekur is different because you don't collect data.
Yes.
Right, it's sell that. So people can reduce their risk greatly by using Sekur.
That's
right.
a very good point. I mean, the whole culture of Sekur, from how we store your data, how we treat our employees, etc., is privacy. That's like rule number one. It's in our DNA. We also don't data mine you, as you just rightfully pointed, because when a company data mines you, which all the big guys do, and they sell your data, that data is hosted by somebody else, and that other person may be hacked.
Yeah.
The other thing is we have our systems, like Secure Mail, for example, that uses Secure Send technology, which is a way to email anybody out there without sending that valuable information. You receive an email with a link, the recipient clicks and they can use Secure Reply without having to buy Secure. So if you're a banker, a lawyer, an accountant, I mean anyone, you have your client base, you can Secure Send email to your customers any day. They can safely open, check all the attachment, and Secure Reply without that email being out in the open, because the whole transaction happens in our server. And the same goes with our messenger, Secure Messenger without chat by invite. You can chat with anyone in the world by sending them a text to open a tunneling system to chat with your customer or your partners.
Okay, thank you so much, Alain, for coming in.
Pleasure being here, thanks.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
GameSquare, with its flagship Times Square space, is launching a skills-based competitive gaming platform brand. And with me is the co-founder and CEO, Paul Kessler, to talk about GameSquare a little bit. So let's just start with what the company is, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you got where you are.
You almost said it better than I did, right? we're building a platform for people who game every single day to win cash through what it is they're doing on their phones and in person, gaming.
Okay, so if somebody's used to playing games, they can come there. This gives them an opportunity to make some money off of something they love to do.
Hopefully meaningful, life-changing amounts of money as we bring more and more people onto the ecosystem. The amounts of cash in the ecosystem should increase exponentially, and the amounts that people can win are going to be very meaningful and large.
So how did you get to your flagship space in Times Square? Kind of talk about the evolution of the company.
Sure, I've always loved the gaming business. I remember my first time as a kid going to Atlantic City, Vegas, Monaco, all these places, and just being drawn to the energy of gaming. And then looking out as a New York City real estate player for 10 years, just seeing that there's a lack of exciting things for people to do in Times Square. It's called the Times Square Shuffle for a reason, right? Everyone just walks around, looks, and has nowhere to go, right? So it was like, well, why don't we build something for people to do here in New York City, in Times Square, where they're already dedicating huge amounts of time, right? So that's how Game Square came to be. It was like, let's bring something to the tourist market, to the local market. People can come in and have an amazing experience, play, and win money.
Yeah, and your target customer is just somebody it's not like a professional esports person, it's somebody who's playing games just because they love to do it, and they're pretty good at it.
Absolutely, right? So they think they're good at it, right? And that's what we're building is all for games of skill, right? There's two types of games in this world: games of chance and games of skill.
Okay.
Everything that we do is skill-based. Skill-based means that the outcome is predominantly determined by the skill of the person playing that game. So we're trying to bring people who have the belief that they have skill in something together, knowing that all of these games that we offer have a large amount of chance baked into the game. So literally anybody can walk into our space, play some of the games that we offer, and win the meaningful cash prizes that can be
Maybe I could even win something.
You could. It could be your day.
That skill.
There is chance in everything that we do as well.
What are some of the games that you have?
So it's a great question. We started to go to the marketplace and try and build out partnerships with third-party game developers. Okay. And then it dawned on us, well, why don't we build our own games and our own brand and really control all the walls around our garden? So right now we're developing multiple titles that look and feel like some of the largest casual games that are played digitally and mobilely. And we're developing our own version of those games under the Game Square brand. Those are available in the Google Play Store right now. And as we build out our space in Times Square, all these games will be available for play in Times Square, all under the Game Square brand.
Interesting. And do you have like food or entertainment or anything else associated with this? Or is it just gaming? Maybe someday?
No, there's everything in the space, right? Like we're trying to create a little bit of a wholesome environment, right? So yes, there will be food and beverage opportunities, retail merchandising, events on a daily basis. This is going to be like the new TRL of Times Square, almost like what we're doing here, right? We think that people are going to come to the space all day long, 24/7, flock to it for its sensory expanding elements for everybody.
So is Times Square your first location?
First location,
okay.
Yeah.
And do you look to expand then after that?
Well, yeah. Simultaneous with opening the flagship space in Times Square, we're launching the digital platform as well. So you can play both in real life, in person, in the Times Square flagship, and then continue your play journey with Game Square through our application, which will all launch simultaneously.
Okay, I can see a Vegas location too. I'm just saying.
This is Las Vegas coming to Times Square, right? That's the opportunity here that we saw at the outset.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Good. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Jane.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
Stator is a lending platform for NFT assets, and now it has a new game, Houndrace, which is a play-to-earn blockchain racing game, and it brings the passion of hound racing into the metaverse. And with me is the CEO, Bogdan, to explain how Houndrace works exactly. So welcome, good to see you again, Bogdan, and tell me about Houndrace.
Hey, Jane. First of all, it's nice to be back on your show. So Houndrace is our new play-to-earn blockchain game where players compete with each other in exciting racing arenas and in a true multi-chain and multi-asset environment. With Houndrace, our aim is to deliver the best and the most diverse gaming experience to our users. And inside the game, players will be able to compete in a multitude of arenas and racing experiences, breed new generations, and also own arenas where the races take place. And as a player, you will have to, of course, own a Hound NFT in order to be able to join the race. For each race, all the players will pay an entry ticket, and all the entry tickets will basically represent the prize pool that will be distributed at the end of the race to the winners. Players will also be able to watch the race simulation in either 2D or 3D environments.
Oh, interesting. And when will it go live?
We've been working internally at Houndrace for almost a year now, and I have to say that the team did an amazing job in order to make everything happen. Currently, we are on public testnet, which is basically the last step before production, and we are building the last mile together with our community. Depending on the market environment, we are planning to go live on mainnet sometime this September.
And then how will Houndrace be incorporated into Stator, which is your company as well?
Yeah, Stator users will benefit from free means and other perks before the launch. After the launch of the game, we will have custom races with special Stator arenas for the Stator users. And also Houndrace NFT owners will be able to use their Hound NFTs as collateral for a loan on our Stator NFT lending platform.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And we've also launched Alpha Dune, which is basically the community hub for both Stator and Houndrace. So now we have the same big Discord community for both of the projects.
Interesting. So what's next for Stator in terms of development of the business?
We are currently working hard on the Byzantine update that will bring a bidding system and a new level of interaction between lenders and borrowers. And this update will be the intermediary step that will allow us to build a fully automated NFT lending experience. We want to be live with the Byzantine update in September this year as well.
And then just how do you see the crypto NFT market? It's been kind of a rough year for this industry. How do you see it overall? Do you think we've hit bottom? Where do you see it going?
We don't have like a price speculation. We don't actually think that we can know like where the market is going, but we think that even though the value of the entire market has dropped, we believe that the pace of innovation hasn't changed that much. And while this bear market was definitely due to come, we think that it also represents an opportunity for us to consolidate our strengths and focus on the long-term fundamentals. We think that this bear market cycle will definitely be a test of fundamentals for the entire NFT space, but we also think that the long-term prospects for Bitcoin and the crypto market in general remain extremely positive.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people in this space, and I would have to say I think that's the consensus. People are looking at this as a building a time, and they still really believe in the technology.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Bogdan, thank you so much for coming back, and best of luck with Houndrace.
Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Sekur, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Sekur is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Sekur doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Sekur. Visit Sekur.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Welcome to Unstoppable Women Entrepreneurs. I'm Jane King, and with me is Rhonda Swan, who is also an Unstoppable Women Entrepreneur. And we've got with us another woman today, Kate McKay, high performance coach, consultant for men in high-level positions. You help corporate teams build confidence and work best in their organization. So welcome, Kate, and tell us more about your work and what you're doing exactly when you're coaching men with these corporations.
Yes, I love that. It's a great question. So I work predominantly with individuals and corporations, and as a high performance coach, a lot of times they come to me concerned around productivity and profitability. That's normally what people, I'm not feeling productive, our company isn't profitable, especially during these times. And so what I found is the high performance habits, there are 6. One of them is productivity. So we have to start with getting clear on what our message is and also our energy. Like, how are we using our energy physically, emotionally, and mentally? These are all key components. Our personal development and our professional development actually have to be matched. We can't just measure our performance by how successful we are. We also have to look at our personal development. And if there's a gap, our success is only going to be at that middle ground. So we really have to look at those habits. It's science-backed, outcome-based, and the system really works, and it's very exciting to see the outcome.
Interesting.
Love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, think about the companies that are going to change because of your work. Now, I do know that you recently launched a book, right? Claim Your Inner Warrior. And that does focus on men, part of the work that you're already doing right now in corporations. However, I think this one's a bit more special. When you talk a bit about your book and how that is being used in your work every day.
I appreciate you asking that.
Yeah.
So Claim Your Inner Warrior, it's especially for men, and it's dedicated to the warriors out there. And one particular warrior is my son, William, who passed away in 2017. So as his friends describe it, he ascended on his own accord. He took his own life in 2017. So after that, it's like, what is that meaning in my life after losing a child and going through that grief process? And I was writing a column, and I wrote an article about how men express grief and loss. And I was so moved by the number of men that reached out to me that said, Kate, you're talking directly to me. And I was like, oh. And I just felt like that is the reason why I'm here. I'm here to help men embrace their warrior. And that means personally understanding, giving them language to their emotion. Men are different in the way they communicate. And I believe that we need to validate that. And I celebrate that. It's a huge part of my work. I'm very fortunate to do what I do. I'm deeply grateful.
Wow, more than ever. That's really beautiful, Kate.
Love it.
You talk so much about confidence, right, in men, and you wouldn't normally think that maybe men have that confidence issue. Why is it that you focus so much on confidence, and where is that coming from, and how does that affect the productivity and the production in these men that you work with?
Well, confidence is essential. So people often will say, Kate, how can you be so confident? And it's because I've failed brilliantly. I had so much failure, right? Anyone resonate, right? So, but what are the lessons that we've learned in our failure? And that takes courage to understand the lesson and get up. And as Les Brown says, one of my favorite motivational speakers, when life knocks you down, make sure you fall on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. And it really is that power of resiliency. And confidence and competence have a direct link. I mean, that's the psychology term of the competence-confidence loop. So the more confident we have, the more competent we are, and that comes over in all areas of our life, in our performance in business and our intimate relationships in all areas. So it's exceedingly important. Confidence is king. And if we can, and that is, you're 100% right, men oftentimes say, I really want to feel more confident. I'm like, right on, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah.
Right.
It gives you some confidence if you even pretend like it.
Right.
So Kate, tell me, are there any challenges in working particularly with men?
Well, I would say I laugh about that because oftentimes women are like, you work with men or you write a book for men? Like, people are confused. And so the first thing I say is I was a gym rat. I was in the gym in the 80s when no women were there. I mean, now it's very normal, like the gyms are full of women. But when I first started going into a gym, it was like the 10 to 20%. Women didn't lift weights. It was shunned. And I'm also one of 9 kids. I have 5 brothers. And so I'm used to that male energy. And I'm comfortable with it. It feels like Home Depot over like a bead store. I get anxiety in a bead store. So I'm just used to men. And I have to tell you this one short story. I had a friend and I was saying, all right, see you later. And he was going through challenges. And I said to him, I have your back, bud. I have your back. And he looked at me like this. And a couple minutes later, he texted me and said, Kate, no woman has ever said, I have your back. Right. And I was like, I was like, I was shocked, you know? And it just, that is the reason why I get up every day, is that everyone deserves to be seen. My work is in transformation. I'm committed to helping people be their best in all areas of our life. I'm deeply committed, and it's wonderful. And the results are massive. High performance is, again, outcome-based. It's science-backed, and I absolutely love what I do. And it makes a big difference in people's lives.
Thank you so much, Kate. What a great
Thanks for
story.
being here,
Thank you.
Kate.
Sekur, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Sekur is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Sekur doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Sekur. Visit Sekur.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Secure Privacy and Security segment. I'm Anna Berry, along with Alain Ghiai, CEO of Secure Private Data. How you doing, Alain?
Hi, Anna. Can I say something? Happy Switzerland Day. August 1st is our national holiday, and we've been around for 731 years defending free speech and libertarianism. So it started with three little cantons that were defending themselves against the Habsburg family, and now it's a wonderful country. So happy Switzerland Day to everyone out there who values freedom of speech, neutrality, and basically privacy, which is what we're all about.
Amen to that. How do you celebrate in Switzerland for your day?
We have like a zillion things we do. First of all, we eat. That's really important. So we got barbecues. We have the cowbells going. We eat cheese. We celebrate. We have fireworks the night before and the night during. So it's kind of relaxing. You go out. 70% of Switzerland's population lives in the mountain in rural areas. So yeah, we celebrate. Good food. And just enjoying the nice weather in Switzerland, and we eat good food too, obviously, and chocolate. Switzerland is even though they're famous for chocolate, it doesn't mean they're the most consumers, but they consume 11 kilos, about 23 pounds of chocolate a year, and we're still quite healthy. It's got one of the longest lifespan of people on Earth, and we really value people's privacy. We respect other people's privacy, and we will continue to do so. Thank God we don't have any EU regulation coming to Switzerland, which is kind of nice. So yeah, we just celebrate, just like on July 4th, you have your barbecue and your fireworks. It's not much different in Switzerland.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. And that's exactly what we're talking about on our segments here, the Weekly Hack. Specifically today, we're going to talk about the MFA and the 2FA. I recently tried to log in to a new health plan, and they asked if I wanted 2FA. And I always say yes, but I want to talk to you about that specifically today, because an article we're talking about, Microsoft researchers, they uncovered a massive phishing campaign that's happening a lot these days, and they can steal credentials even if a user has an MFA or the 2FA, and they did, and they attempted to compromise more than 10,000 organizations. So what can we do to make sure our data is private and secure?
So the thing, MFA is multiple factor authentication, and 2FA is two-factor authentication. A lot of time people will see we need to send you a text to verify this, and then you put the digits on the text, and that's like a way to verify that it's you. it's never fail-safe. First of all, most of that is the 2FA thing is done with phone. So when they send you a text and all of the phones have been compromised and phone numbers can be basically bought, somebody can just fish and sniff you and all of these things and basically try to spy on you and find out what you're logging into. The email phishing, what happened is it basically tricks you to maybe give away your password or give away something, obviously. And that's when they have your credentials. It's a way of stealing and tricking you to give away any kind of credential, whether it's a username or a phone number. And eventually the machines put two and two together. We don't use 2FA. We're going to have to implement it because people are comfortable with that. Ideally, I know this from a decade ago, some scientists told me you should just put sentences, but sentences that don't have anything to do with your activity. So if you're like golfing, don't put anything related to golf. Obviously, if you're on social media and you have any content there, don't use a password related to what you put on social media. So it's really hard. I would use what we're trying to do. We needed to go to a company called Okta. They also got compromised, unfortunately. And basically, we're trying to get passwordless authentication. So you have biometrics and things like that. But to do that, that company that we wanted to hire, they basically use Okta single sign-on. So there's never a foolproof. So best thing, if you don't want to have a PhD in encryption, just change your password every 90 days if you can, at least for the important stuff, and change them around and don't put anything related to your personal or business life. You can have the name of a mountain someplace with some digits and crazy characters, but you have to also remember your password, obviously. So 2FA is not 100%, MFA is not 100%. And you notice that these happens on big tech emails because they're already basically hacked. So if you use a big tech technology, you will be much more prone to these kind of attacks. I'm not saying if you don't use a big tech technology, it won't happen, but you can reduce the incident rate by over 90%.
Let's talk about the biometrics as well. How do you feel about face recognition, fingerprints? Does that keep us safe?
Yes, so there's a couple of ways. There's the ones that you have on your device. Suppose what we do, because sometimes people say, I don't want to put my fingerprint. Well, then you're going to have to remember your username and your password every time you log in. And we're lazy. We don't want to put 20 digits every time. Plus, on these phones, I have a crooked finger. I can type the wrong thing, and after 3 times, it will lock you out for brute force. So I tell everyone, at least when you buy Sekur and you download the app after you bought it, just say yes to the biometric for the fingerprint. We don't even do full biometric. Because what's happening in our case, when you put your fingerprint, it's really the fingerprint is based on the device, it doesn't go to us. So we don't record any of it. And when you log out of the app, when you uninstall the application, all of that data is completely gone. So in this case, I encourage people to do their thumbprint or finger. I would use both hands, so you register both hands on your device. And it's the least intrusive way, unless you want to every time type in a username and a password, and you will get frustrated because sometimes you're going to type the wrong thing, and because it's hashed, you don't know which digit you type wrong. So it gets really frustrating, right? And you just have to accept a certain level, but that's from your device. So first, if you have Sekur, for example, you type your username and password. The password needs to be a really complex one if you can. Then you register, and it tells you in Samsung, for example, it tells you, do you want to register in the Samsung password thing? I say yes, and then I put my fingerprint. iPhone has the same thing. As you know, I'm more prone to buying a South Korean made phone, as we discussed last time, because none of the parts are made in China. There were stories about iPhone way back. It happens all the time that the brand new iPhone, for the first 30 days, all of the iCloud data and photos went to China directly. So I don't want to scare people who have $2,000 phones, but I prefer a phone made in Korea where down to the microchip is made in a country that is not hacking the entire United States.
Right. Well, that's a topic of conversation that will continue in our next segments. Well, let's talk about some of your services and the products you offer and the privacy component. It is Switzerland Day where you are, but talk about how it's ingrained in your society and it's also ingrained in your products.
Well, our products, first of all, are stored, all the data. We have essentially a secure communication platform. So email, messaging, data backup, password, etc. We store everything in Switzerland in our own servers. So that's important. I was just with a lawyer a couple hours ago going over all of the data privacies and everything as we're uplisting hopefully to NASDAQ. And part of the due diligence was that. And she was amazed basically. So we basically store everything in our own server. We don't use any third-party hosting. That's one. It's in Switzerland, which has the data privacy laws the strictest in the world. So what we do is we have secure email, for example, where you can send somebody a secure send email using secure send on the webmail or on our secure mail app, where the recipient basically receives an email from you, Anna, and then it says, Anna sent you something, click here to read it. And then they read it, they click on it. You can also add a lot of attachments, and they don't need to register to our system to do that. They don't need to create anything fancy, and they can secure reply. That guarantees you full privacy within the server environment, because the data doesn't go away to somebody else who has an encryption key and they have to decrypt. It's all within our own server, just like the old BlackBerry. With Messenger, we never ask for your phone number. So you register with a username and password. You can message someone that doesn't have secure as well. If you have their mobile or email, we offer now 25 countries where you can send a text to and say, hey, chat with me. So we have self-destruct timers. We have a lot of good stuff. We basically have data privacy in our blood. Every time we create a function, the first thing we do is we say, how can I make it that I don't want to give away that kind of info? How can I make it that the customer has all of the privacy, the best privacy as they use this function? So really the culture of the company is privacy. Besides the fact, there's many things that we do, like people don't have access to this, don't have access to that. Our entire being of thought process is, how can I have the most privacy? If I create a function, I want to make sure it has privacy in mind. And of course, our user base, we care about our people. And yes, August 1st, Switzerland Day, and hopefully maybe Privacy Day one day. I should probably apply to the Swiss Confederation and say, hey, can we make August 1st Privacy Day as well? I'm going to try that one day. But yeah, so privacy is like ingrained in our constitution, and we produce these solutions for people to have the full privacy with no big tech data mining. Obviously, we don't data mine you. We have no access to your stuff either. So it's important to know that.
Great. And they're fantastic products, and always happy to be speaking with you because we're trying to help change the mindset of people. Privacy is really best understood when it's been breached, right? When you've had an attack against your data. So you're trying to prevent that for customers, everyday people like myself, or big businesses, big corporations out there. So you're doing good work.
It's like insurance, you want to buy it before you get robbed, and this is the same way. People are stealing your identity, so that's the best thing you can do, is get a product that respects that privacy and security. So, that's what we're all about.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, and go celebrate with your friends and family. Happy Switzerland Day.
Thank you. And as we say, Grutzli, so that means like hello. So
Grutzli.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for watching.